What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and this is my Sunday Night Football Showdown breakdown for the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Cowboys enter the game 2-point favorites, 52-point total on the game. It should be a bit of a shootout, but I'm seeing a couple things that are pointing me to the kickers. Here's my first look at who I like at captain. Quick refresher, just in case you didn't see my previous video for Thursday night's game, what you see on the screen is the results of my simulation of who would be the most likely captain. We've got the names, obviously, salary, obviously, fantasy points, the amount of times this person is the optimal captain, and their projected ownership. Now you'll see at the top, it's either fade season, like on Dak Prescott and Jared Goff. I had the quarterbacks on Thursday. Or everybody's looking to be right around where their ownership is. I don't see a ton of value in Zeke, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, Michael Gallup. They all look normal-ish. But Robert Woods does stand out. He's a little bit ahead of the projected ownership. Cooper Kupp might be the one that got the payday today being Saturday. But I think Woods has a slight lean in the captain spot at 11-7. But the bigger story, if you work your way down, and first, you could get to Cam Akers at 10-2. That's fine. He's a low-owned play. It's a lottery ticket. But speaking of low-owned plays, Greg Zuerlein, 2.3% owned. Sam Sloman, the rookie kicker for the Rams, 1.1% owned. At those salaries, given their current projections, I have them as optimal captains way more often than their ownership shows. It's quite possible that a kicker is an optimal captain for today. I have my eye on it. Now, these are low likelihood plays. If Zuerlein's in the captain, this is a 1 in 10 maybe on Zuerlein, 1 in 12-ish on Sloman. It's a scary way to go, especially given the amount of offensive firepower with Zeke, Cooper, Kupp. It's weird to say Cooper Kupp. I meant Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp, but it's Cooper Kupp. It's really difficult, guys. It's really hard to say both of those names back to back. They need to move their salaries on the screen for me, make it easier. There's so much offensive firepower. But right now, I have my eye on the kickers at captain. I'm going to pay for this one in the long run, but you're not going to see a lot of people talking about it. Now, working my way down at flex, I think that's where you can start to see a little bit more at the top. Again, the sim is pretty much in line with the ownership. I think Dak is going a little overowned. I think Zeke is going a little overowned. But it's not like you could just not have these guys. They should be in a large majority of your lineups if you're playing 150 on this showdown slate. Goff is the guy that I'm looking at if I'm looking to pick between the two quarterbacks. He's coming in right around his projected ownership, and at the very least, slightly better off than Dak and Zeke. You'll see below that, Amari Cooper, right around his ownership. Cooper Kupp, right around his ownership. Michael Gallup, Robert Woods. These guys are getting the appropriate ownership. I think it's a lot easier to get different based on your fades than it is based on your stands. It's easier to get a little bit away from Tyler Higbee. It might be a little bit easier to get away from Blake Jarwin. It might be a little bit easier to get away from, that's pretty much it at the bottom. Where you can go, once again, I'm liking the kickers. Greg Zuerlein, Sam Sloman, they're both coming in the sim quite a bit more than their projected ownership. Wouldn't have expected it given the game line, but right now, because of those price tags, I think that they need to go owned a little bit more than they are currently. The other guy that I have my eye on at flex is the guy that I want to go to if I'm trying to save some salary. And that guy is Gerald Everett. He's only $1,000 in the flex. I actually think that he's sort of viable as a really oddball captain for $1,500. But if you need to pay up, if you're trying to go and get yourself maybe like a Ram stack, maybe you're going with Goff and another wide receiver, I think or maybe you're going with another wide receiver and say Sam Sloman. I love the idea of going down to Gerald Everett at $1,000. It's not going to take much for you for that to pay off. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a little bit of use in the red zone. But it's $1,000. The guys that are below him, Blake, look at the names of the $600 or $200 guys. That's not a direction you really want to go, especially with some of them picking up pretty sizable ownership. I think that you should have Gerald Everett in your lineup more than double his current projected ownership. That is, without question, the spot that I'm looking to pay down. That is, without question, the spot that saves you the most salary and gives you the opportunity to roster as many of the, let's say, 7,800 or above guys. That even allows you to be a bit more aggressive with your captain spot because you have that built-in savings of what I believe is an actually legitimate play at $1,000. Everett is simply too cheap. He should be a little bit more expensive. And if his ownership stays down, that is exactly where I want to be, and that's where I think you should be too. Now, I touched on a little bit when talking about captain and flex, but my top fades for today would be the quarterbacks at captain, both Dak and Jared Goff, coming in the top spot during the sim way less than their projected ownership. That is a natural place for you to get different in Showdown, and that is the key. The less duplication you can have, the better chance you have to actually getting a big payday and not chopping with 300 people at the top. And I think the quickest way to do that is to just not have Dak or Jared Goff in the captain spot. As for flex fades, there's not a ton that's deviating much, but Tyler Higbee and Blake Jarwin are both going a bit overowned in comparison to where they showed up in my sim. And Cam Akers is priced in between both guys and picking up less ownership. I think that he shows up in the sim more often than those guys. So I think fading Higbee and fading Jarwin, what am I talking about? Fading Jarwin allows Cam Akers to rise up a bit for you. He's a guy that I have no problem getting a bit over the field on. So Higbee and Jarwin out, Cam Akers in. Alrighty, everybody, that is a quick look at my simulations for Sunday Night Football, Cowboys and Rams. One last time, be sure to hit that like button. You guys, it helps me out tremendously. It gets me so excited I can't even talk. You guys were awesome on the first video. Views well outpaced the NBA DFS contenders. That made me pretty proud. I'm loving these videos. I'm going to have 2 more out for both Monday Night Football games, probably late Sunday night, so tune in for that. Best of luck on this Sunday showdown. I'll talk to you again for the Monday Night Football games.